All right, welcome to another Flatrater, take 5, maybe 10 this time. So I have a friend who sent me, he's working on a car, helping out somebody at a shop, and he's got a 2005 Yukon here with a 5.3, it's setting a PO171. Someone's already swapped the O2 sensors left to right. And so let's look at his freeze frame for the PO171. So the first failure occurred 521 miles ago. The last failure 21 miles ago. And now here's the rub. The failure count is 4. The pass counter is 47. So this is going to be a tough problem to find. It's not likely to be, aha, there it is, right? And so he noticed a few things here. The mass airflow was at 1455, just off idle. The fuel trims here, if you notice, the short term on bank 1 is 54, the long term on bank 1 is 25. That's a huge problem on bank 1. And bank 2, short term is 10 and long term is 7. And it's not great, not fantastic, but clearly something crazy is going on bank 1. So he was after that problem. And so this episode is not about the car. I'll cover the car in some other venue. I wanted to point something out here. But before I do, let me just tell you what he did. So he's suspecting an O2 sensor. And you'll see in a minute that right now the sensors seem to be working okay. But he let the thing cool down. And he fired up the truck. And what he's looking for here is he wants to see the upstream sensors for both banks. He wants to see when they come online. So the engine's fired up. And you can see we have bias voltage on both sensors. And then at right about the same time, both sensors start coming to life. They're warmed up. The voltage drops low and then it goes high and they start toggling. And then way over here, we start going in closed loop. So the sensors are both working okay. He was expecting to see something because often weird sensor issues flesh themselves out on a cold start. So he's disappointed there. So he sent me another file or link to a file using ScanShare. And so in this capture, he's got the O2 sensors. Well, I guess we can show them to you. Okay, so there's the two sensors, and you can see they're doing normal sensor stuff. No, remember we're looking for a huge issue, and it's not there. So in the course of doing that, me and him have talked a lot about engine load and VE and whatnot. And so he decided to check VE. So let's get some numbers up on the board. All right, so what he did is he grabbed his numbers as close to 5,000 RPM as he could. So if you look, the fourth pin down is the TPS. You can see wide open throttle. We're at almost 5,000 RPM. And so what he's going to do is he's going to plug in his numbers. And we'll use my calculator here. As good as any, 69. We have a 5.3. And our mass airflow is 198.92. Now, he didn't put barrel on this capture. I don't know why, but I called him and said, hey, what was the barrel? Where were you at? And he said barrel was 95. So we got barrel in there. And now engine speed is 4980. Let's do a calculation. All right, so this number came, I don't know what calculator he used, but this number came up, which was the same as what he got. VE is about where we are looking at it is 80%. Theoretical mass flow, 240 grams per second. Absolute load here is something you may not see on other people's calculators. There's ATG, there's DEX, there's Flatrater, there's Scanture. I've been building VE calculators for 15 years. Absolute load here is I noticed that I've been pushing, if you're going to use VE, you know what, why don't you use the generic side of your scan tool and use absolute load, because it's load underscore ABS. Absolute load is a value. The calculation is going to be the same across all vehicles out there, and so you could use absolute load as a way of comparing flow rates or flow efficiency across the different engines. So I added that here. So these are the numbers he got, and he thought that's pretty good, or maybe he thought it wasn't good. I don't know. But I want to point something out here. So what I did is I took his capture. This is an SCM file. Ooh, that's a snap-on file. A binary file. So what can you do with that? Well, I'll tell you what we can do. We can modify it just a little bit. So what I did is I downloaded this file. I opened it up and I did some math. And using math, I created two new PIDs, VE and load ABS. So this would be the same as if you took a calculator and went frame by frame with your calculator and calculated the volumetric efficiency. So I just put it in there. And then I also added load ABS, or absolute load, and added that too. So let's look at what we got here. So I'm going to put the ARP. Well, before I do anything, so we have here, here's our TPS. So this is wide open throttle, right? This is where we're wide open throttle. Now, so we're looking at this area here. So we're going anywhere from 2,057 RPM to 3,300. Now we don't want that because something happened. We had a shift, right? So we're going to max it out here. So we're looking at it from the 2,000 or so to almost 5,500 RPM. So we're looking at this area. Now I want you to notice something. Look at our VE. This is, again, the same formula you're going to find with your calculator, doing this, right? And we see VE is at 71%. And then halfway through, it's at 85%. That's 14% difference. Now, the time of this TPS wide open throttle is there's 50 or so frames. That's, in this case, it's about 10 seconds. So we're holding the throttle for about 10 seconds. And its VE is changing. It's going from 71 to 85, then back down to 76, and then down to 77. Huge spread. So my point is, if you're going to use VE, where are you going to get your numbers and what's good? Now, once you tell me what's good, I'm going to ask you, are you good with a plus or minus 14 to that? I don't think so. Now, here's load ABS, and that has changed from 62 to 75. Now, so this is changing. It's kind of low, VE is kind of low, then it goes high, then it goes down a little bit. It's not flat. Now, some vehicles, you take them out and drive them, and you'll get a pretty flat VE. Not this one. And there ain't any special technology with this one. So, if you have to do VE, I want you to think about where you get your numbers. It's a big spread. So, I don't know if I would use that. I'm a little puzzled by this crazy, gotta know VE. Everybody needs to know VE, because if you don't know VE, you can't fix cars. I've never had a customer come in and say, my car, stupid VE is just not where it's supposed to be. I think it should be higher. My VE is just broken. That's not what they say. They come in, they got a complaint of lack of power or whatever. And so I'm going to chase that. Now, in the course of chasing that, I might look at the way the engine breathes. And I don't want to do any calculations. It's too much work. So what I might do is look at engine load. Now, we got to be careful with engine load. We're looking at GM OE data, not generic. And GM has used at least 4 different load definitions that I'm aware of. And this one looks like it's follows the formula of calculated load that on the generic side. So what is this? If this is calculated load using the generic formula, that means that when barrel equals map, calculated load is 100%. And you can see this guy here, wide open throttle is getting pretty much up there. So I don't know. I don't have a map and barrel on this slide or this data, so I can't do the math, but I'm kind of guessing that's what it is. But nonetheless, my point is, look at the VE, all high RPM, look at the difference in the numbers, the huge difference. And if you're going to use VE, this is a problem you can run into. You're going to find numbers that don't make sense and waste time. And, if that's what you want to do, then full speed ahead. So with that, I'm way over time again. Next time.